I want to teach you more about the power of your mind and how to use it to your benefit in labor. So we're going to talk more about visualization. And let's remember that in an early video in this series, I talked about the mind-body connection. And I just want to review one tiny piece of it to keep it fresh in your mind. And we imagined that you walked into your kitchen and saw a delicious juicy lemon on your cutting board, and that you slice that lemon in half, and just take a moment to imagine taking half of that lemon up to your mouth. I could smell it. Well, of course I could smell it, but I could smell it more as if it's cut. And then imagine just squeezing that half of a lemon into your mouth, and it drips all over your tongue and your teeth. And even now I can feel my body starting to salivate just with imagining biting into this lemon. So that is an example of how our mind can affect our body without our actually having the experience that we are imagining. So what this points to is that even with our autonomic nervous system, right? The system in our body that runs everything that we don't have to think about, like salivation, like our heart rate, right? We can speed our heart rate up, we can slow it down by paying attention to it. We can speed up our respiration or slow it down by paying attention to it. But if we don't pay attention, it keeps on working, and it does that throughout our lives. What a blessing. So when we talk about childbirth, we are talking about an automatic process, right? There's a signal that signals to our body that our baby is ready to be born, and oxytocin starts to flow and contractions get more intense until our cervix is completely open. Our uterus changes what it's doing, pushes our baby out into the birth canal and out into the world. So that is going to happen no matter what you do. And what we are talking about are ways that you make sure you not only don't interfere with that process, but you assist it. So let's talk about assisting it with your mind. So one of the ways that visualization is really powerful when you're pregnant and preparing for childbirth is imagining giving birth, imagining your ideal birth and going over and over it in your mind. While there are no guarantees that it's going to go exactly as planned, this patterns into your body what you want to have happen by giving permission with your mind, and it helps you to give your body permission to do this amazing thing that it's preparing to do. So this is very similar to preparing for a sporting event. Many professional athletes, even non-professional athletes, have learned how to use the power of their minds by doing visualization. And let's pick Simone Biles, who is getting ready to do her floor routine in gymnastics. And part of her training is to sit down and close her eyes and listen to the music that she is going to do her floor routine to, and in her mind go through step by step, move by move, what she wants to have happen. And so this is part of what we are wanting to do with childbirth, right? By listening to audio tracks in advance, by learning relaxation techniques, by looking at different images that help you imagine opening and birthing your baby. All of these things will play a role in having your mind assist your body in being as open, as relaxed as possible. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the first stage of labor and how to use some visualization for that first stage. So the first stage, your cervix goes from being closed, holding baby in for 9 months, to opening to about the size of a bagel, 10 centimeters. And that happens over the course of the first stage with contractions that last from 30 to 90 seconds. And the reason we've talked about this in previous videos is so that when you are in labor, you can visualize what's happening in your body and make sense of what it feels like, right? When I know my cervix is opening, it makes sense that I'm feeling a crampy feeling in my belly, right? And it doesn't scare me. I understand. So I really highly recommend, if you haven't, start at the beginning and really digest this information, take notes, listen with your birth partner, so that by the time you're working with visualization, you understand why. Okay. So this is the third set of techniques that we're talking about. We've already talked about positions that are ideal for the different stages of labor. We've already talked about the breaths that are ideal for the different stages of labor. So now, what do you do with your mind? So one image that I love is the image of understanding what is happening in our uterus. So sticking with the first stage for a moment, we have two different sets of muscle fibers in our uterus. We have vertical muscle fibers that are going up and down our uterus, and then we have horizontal muscle fibers that are going across our uterus. And so the way that it works in the first stage is that the vertical muscle fibers pull up on the horizontal muscle fibers and pull them up and out of the way, which opens up the cervix. So those horizontal muscle fibers are super strong. They've been holding, squeezing, holding the cervix closed, holding that baby in for 9 months. And as you go into labor, they soften, they get shorter, and then your body starts to pull them back and out of the way. So let's work with this visualization. I'm just going to hold this up for a moment, but imagine that you picture your horizontal muscle fibers like the softest, silky ribbons. And as your vertical muscle fibers pull them out of the way, they are just like soft, supple. Oh my goodness. So easy to move. You can have the smallest, gentlest, shortest contractions you can imagine, and that cervix is just gonna open. So that's part of what you're imagining, literally imagining. And we already know how the breath and how the position fits in with that visualization of your body opening. So we can also imagine a flower opening. I took this picture in my yard. Look at that dragon fruit flower. Does that look like the body of a woman or what? So that is a beautiful image of opening, how Mother Nature, that bud comes out, it's tight and it's long, and then poof, one night it opens up. And most of us are much more familiar, with something like this, right? A big old beautiful bouquet of roses. So why not have some right by your bedside that help you remember that just like that bud was once really tightly closed, it opens just like your body's opening. You are blossoming, you are fruiting. Your baby is your fruit. So those kind of images, and then having them right there next to you, just as a reminder, right? When you see that rose on your bedside table as you're giving birth, or as you're in the weeks getting ready for labor, you'll watch. It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's amazing to have a rose and watch that the petals just don't fall off and don't fall off, like how much it can open before it's done. And your body is capable of opening big and wide. Whether you've given birth before or not, your body already knows how to do it. So another image that we can use that is all about, relaxation is goes right along with the balloon breath that we've talked about. It's like, while you're doing it, why not? Why not give each balloon a color? And either imagine that as you're doing that balloon breath, and here's my red balloon, either I let it go, my yellow balloon, and I can feel it filling up as I breathe in and let it go, or I can keep a collection of them, right? It's like they're assisting me somehow. They make me lighter and lighter. Any way that you can think of what your body could be doing, anything that feels good to your imagination is going to help you relax and is going to keep your mind occupied. And keeping your mind occupied on relaxing images or images that help you imagine opening is all way better than putting your mind on the fears, right? The fears of what could go wrong, or the discomfort that I'm experiencing in my body. If I'm putting my attention on it, it's going to feel even more uncomfortable. So this is a beautiful way of splitting your attention during contractions so that you are really caring for the energy that you're holding in your body. It's like caretaking with your mind, this incredible mindfulness that you're trying to fill your mind with images that are helpful. So one image that I think is so incredibly beautiful, and I have many, many, many of them, the images of the mandalas. Let's see, easy would this be to pick up? This is just one. Mandalas.com is one of the most amazing websites, but look at this. It's like you can imagine your cervix is actually going to do exactly this in labor. What a blessing to have an image of what that is and just be able to imagine. I mean, imagine that this is what your cervix looks like if you want to, and that you are giving it permission to just open wide up as you're laboring. And another image that one student of mine told me that she used, which I loved, was that she imagined during the course of her pregnancy, at the end of her pregnancy, that not only was her cervix opening up like a big sea cave, but that so was her birth canal. And she was imagining that the contractions were like the waves, right, coming in and going out of the sea cave. And that eventually there was going to be a wave that was going to come that was going to carry her baby out. And she had such a beautiful, relaxing labor. And that was part of what felt right to her. She lived near the ocean. She loved walking along the ocean and just imagining this as she would have her hands on her belly and just be talking to this baby and saying like, okay, this is how it's going to go. So that's another piece, is be in communication with your baby, right? This is a joint effort. Your baby knows how to be born. Your body knows how to give birth. And you're just adding, it's like magical fairy dust to the ingredients that are already there. So in the next video, I'm going to tell you my favorite visualization. So tune in.